What's going on, Colts Nation? Appreciate you joining me for another video. And this one here is just going to be kind of a quick update. The Colts making some roster moves that could have some effect going into the future. Okay, so we're going to start with reserve future contracts. They ended up signing 9 guys to reserve/future contracts. And the guys that they ended up signing, starting with Austin Ajake, that's a name that I haven't seen all year. I have no idea who that is, to be completely honest with you. But then you have Liam Anderson, Tyree Cleveland, Marcel Dabo, which is an interesting name. That's a guy that came from Germany. He was part of an international program, and he's on the Colts, and he doesn't take up a roster spot. So going forward, I don't know exactly when that changes. When does he start to take up a roster spot, whether that's active roster or practice squad? I'm not exactly sure, but with the reserve/future contract, Marcel Dabo will stick around, and we'll see if there's anything that ends up coming from that one. All right, but then going forward here is Ethan Fournier, Arlington Hambright, who we've talked plenty about on this channel. I think it's a good idea to keep him in the building, at least as a depth piece for that offensive line. Then you have Jordan Murray, Xavier Scott, which is a fan favorite here for the Colts. There are going to be a lot of people excited for the fact that the Colts are re-signing Xavier Scott to a reserve/future contract. All right, and the 9th guy here on this list is going to be Eric Tomlinson. So the Colts, as they're looking ahead, they're trying to find, right, this coaching staff with Shane Steichen and all his guys, they're trying to find the guys that are going to be back on the team going forward, guys that they liked having in the building and they want to keep in the building. So we'll see if they end up making it, all the way to training camp and through training camp. But right now, as it sits, those are the 9 guys that the Colts are keeping on reserve future contracts. Okay, but then there were 4 guys that got 1-year contract extensions. And at the moment, I don't have the details behind those. I don't know when we'll get details behind what these contracts might be, but these 1-year contract extensions are for Darrell Baker Jr., who, as we all know, had up and down times. Definitely some moments that were real low for DJ Baker, especially the missed tackle against Dalton Schultz is the most recent one that we can think of. But I think physically the team likes what they have with Darrell Baker Jr. Maybe they'll continue to work with him, try to see if he can get better and keep him as a depth piece on this roster, at least for right now. Okay, and some other guys that are kind of good depth pieces. One of these guys might even turn into a starter, but we have Trevor Denbo, who, if he's on the field for your defense, not great, right? You're not in a good spot defensively if Trevor Denbo is playing safety for you. But on special teams, he does good work. He did good work for us this year on special teams, was one of the best players for us on special teams throughout the entire season. So re-signing him and bringing him back to play special teams is a good idea. Cameron McGrone, same thing, backup linebacker. You don't really want him on the field, but having him on special teams is really good. He's been a guy that's been on special teams for a couple seasons, so bringing him back is a good idea. And then also Segan Alubi. This is a guy that could end up being a starter, right? He definitely has the skill set. He has the athleticism. It'll be interesting to see just what happens with the defense and with the different linebackers that we have. We just re-signed Zaire Franklin and EJ Speed this past offseason. So what kind of role will Segan Alubi be in a league that is so much nickel? There's a lot of nickel and dime that gets ran in the NFL. So with the Colts going forward, who knows what's going to happen with the defense? But Segan Alubi looks to be a part of it in 2024. Be very surprised if he didn't make it through training camp. And I'd be very interested to see what his 1-year contract looks like. Is it, something that's structured with, a lot of incentives, even though it's probably not going to be for much, $1 million, $2 million for an NFL play. That's a lot of money. Don't get me wrong. I don't want to make it sound like that, but you understand what I'm saying. And this could be a situation where they're just seeing, if Segan Alubi ends up getting on the field, then he could earn a certain amount of money. Or maybe he's just going to play special teams. And if he's just a special teams guy all year, then he'll make a certain amount. That's what I would assume his contract probably looks like for the time being. And this is a guy that I'm glad that we ended up re-signing. There's a lot of potential with Segan Alubi. Okay, but the last move here that the Colts made as of right now to the roster is waiving Tony Brown. Okay, and Isaiah McKenzie, he was on a 1-year deal with the Colts. He's not going to be on the Colts anyways. So Isaiah McKenzie, Tony Brown, I don't know if we'll ever figure out exactly what they did to get suspended, but at the moment, they are both out for the Colts. Isaiah McKenzie, highly unlikely that he ends up getting re-signed by the Colts in the offseason. And Tony Brown, who's been a mainstay for the Colts, he gets waived as soon as the season ends. We'll see if he comes back, and maybe they want him to stay on the special teams unit. But if he doesn't come back, then at some point I would expect we're going to hear exactly what it is that Tony Brown and Isaiah McKenzie did that was conduct detrimental to the team where they got suspended and now neither on the team. So at the moment, this is what's happening. You know, some moves happening right after the season. This happened actually, in the afternoon on Monday. And at least as it sits right now, at the time that I'm recording this, a little more in the evening on Monday, Gus Bradley is still the Colts defensive coordinator. Him and his staff still part of the Colts coaching staff. And I plan to talk about that later this week, honestly. But because of somebody that's available, I wanted to go ahead and have that conversation today. So that video is going to come out a little later. Make sure you're subscribed with notifications on so that you get notified when that video comes out. I have content planned for every single day. So again, make sure you have those notifications turned on so you get notified when each of the videos is coming out. And as always, take care of yourself, take care of each other, and go Colts.